knowledge to help local families make smart moves with their property. So if you're thinking about building a secondary dwelling to bring extra income, Jannine's here to guide you through that process. So she offers honest advice, down-to-earth support, and a local team be with you every step of the way. She's just a wealth of knowledge. You got a long bio because you've achieved so much. Please welcome Jannine. We're going to talk about how to finance assessment made simple and build with no money down.
Thank you. All right. Good evening, everyone. My name is Jannine, and as Tim said, I am the finance person of this team, and I'll try to make this as interesting as possible. Finance is not all that interesting, but I'll try and spice it up a little bit. Tonight, I want to chat with you guys about how you can access the equity that's sitting in your property to build a granny flat. But first, I'll share a little bit about me. So I was born and raised right here on the Gold Coast. I've been in the finance industry for more years than I'd like to admit. During that time, I've worked for most of the different coloured banks, but it wasn't until I became a mortgage broker that I really found my happy place. Because that's where I realised that for me, it's not just about the loans and the numbers, it's about the people I get to work with. And working really closely with my clients and making those connections, I really had a massive impact on their life, and that was really important to me. I'm so excited to be part of this team tonight and share this information because I get to see firsthand just how life-changing this can be for people, and I think you'll see that after you sort of hear the case studies. It's just astonishing. So tonight my goal is really simple. It's to show you just how straightforward it can be to access that equity that's sitting in your home. I want to give you clear and practical information so that when you walk away tonight, you have a really solid understanding of how to access that equity, but also the confidence that comes with having a really great team by your side. So I have quite a bit of technical information, and I'll try and sort of stick to the point, but I'm going to follow along with my notes in certain sections because it is quite detailed, and it's quite hard to get up through all of this in the 15 minutes, but I'll do my best, okay? All right, let's get started. So tonight we're going to learn about who we are at Finance and what we do. I'm going to talk about the power of adding a second dwelling, how accessing the equity can be a straightforward process. And I know it seems overwhelming when you don't do it every day, but we do this every day. So I'll try and simplify it as much as I can. I'm going to share with you 3 case studies of clients who have accessed that equity and built the granny flats, and show you the true power of what rental income does for you. All right, let's go. All right, did you guys know that the Gold Coast is among, don't answer this, Matt, among the top 10 performing regions in Australia? It's just astonishing to me when you read the stats. And I guess being in the industry, we're lucky enough to sort of get that information regularly. But really what's driving this boom is we have major infrastructure upgrades. I mean, everyone sees the roadworks everywhere we go. We've got rapid population growth. I mean, anyone trying to get here tonight was in a traffic jam. We've got employment growth across all sectors. I mean, these are all really good signs for us. But in short, these factors will continue to drive the value of all of our properties up. We'll have even fewer homes to rent, and the rental prices will continue to rise. And really what I'm saying is the Gold Coast is no longer just that famous tourism hotspot that it used to be. It's evolving, and it's evolving into a diverse, fast-growing economy. And with our city set to co-host the Olympics, all of our properties are projected to rise even further, meaning the equity in our homes is expected to grow significantly. So what is equity? Equity is the difference between what your property is worth and what you owe the lender. And I think this is where it gets really exciting. That equity can be accessed and used to fund the construction of a secondary dwelling right in your backyard. You don't need to sell anything, you don't need to pay stamp duty, you don't need to downsize or use any of the savings in your bank. You can use your existing property to generate an entirely new income stream. Now, I think that's really important, and I'd like to say it again. You can use your existing property you're living in to generate an entirely new income stream. The good news is you don't need to be a finance expert. That's why we're here. We can help you unlock that equity. Once we've received all of your compliance documents, your part's done. Then that's where we take over. So I think it would be really valuable tonight to take you on a behind-the-scenes tour of the equity release process so that you get a really clear understanding of how it works and sort of how we make it all come together on our side of things. So let me just... All right. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to gather your compliance documents. So these are all the necessary paperwork to ensure that your application meets the lender requirements. So this is like your ID, passports, driver's licence, your income verification documents. We're going to ask you for your pay slips, some tax returns, depending on your situation. We'll ask you for bank statements, any property-related documents. Now, I know this is the most annoying part for you guys. We know that. But did you know that every lender has their own set of policies? And by submitting the right information up front, it helps avoid delays and it increases your chance of approval. So that's why we ask. Then we move on to order the valuations. So we'll order valuations with multiple lenders to determine how much usable equity you will have in your property. So different lenders use different valuation firms. So by ordering more than one, we get the best possible result for you. This can and does significantly affect your borrowing power. Then we get to work and we calculate your borrowing power. So what we do is we will work out how much you can comfortably borrow. So we look at your income, we look at your liabilities, we look at your expenses. We use tools from across multiple lenders to compare your outcomes. This means we're not fitting you into one bank criteria with one bank product. We have access to 40 lenders and hundreds of products in our business. We look at multiple lender products, and across multiple lenders we will work on finding the best product that fits your individual situation. Then I get to come back to you and we book in an options meeting, we call it. And we get to sit down. It usually takes about an hour, and we go through all of your options and we talk about the pros and cons of the lenders, we talk about the rates, we talk about the fees, and especially the loan structure. That's really important, depending on the purpose of the build. And I'll simplify this process as much as I possibly can to help you choose a loan that aligns with your financial goals. Now, everyone's goals are different, but it could be things like, I want to be debt-free in 10 years, or I want to create a long-term residual income. That's the meeting where we start sort of really nailing that down. So in this meeting, we make sure to take the time to answer all of your questions. We walk you through every step of the way, and you guys get to sort of walk away with a clear understanding of which lender works best, which product is going to work best, and what your next steps are. That's a really important. So tonight I'm going to share with you 3 powerful case studies. These are clients of mine over the last few years, and I'll try not to say their names. Of homeowners who have unlocked the equity in their property to build a granny flat. Now, these aren't just numbers on a page to me, these are real stories to show you what's possible when you have the right team of experts by your side. It can open doors you never realised were there and help you achieve outcomes far greater. All right, so my first family, they live in the northern suburbs of the Gold Coast. They wanted to build a 2-bedroom granny flat. They had engaged a builder, signed a build contract and had their plans and specs. So we were able to order 4 different as-if complete valuations, and we ordered it from 4 different lenders. So an as-if complete valuation is the estimated value of the property once the build has finished. Tim touched on that before. So the valuation range came back from 1.35 to 1.5. Now that's an incredible $150,000 difference. Now, in these slides, I was being super conservative. At the moment, we are seeing such disparities between valuations. Like, I mean, up to $500,000 and $600,000. It's just shocking. But I'm being really conservative here. And it's just incredible. So we were able to choose a lender that allowed us to release that equity to finance this build. Let me just move on for a second here. So when this family came to me, they had an existing loan of $550,000. I then refinanced this loan, taking it back to a 30-year term, and we added an additional loan split, which is separate, of $275,000 to fund the construction of this build. The granny flat was completed. It massively increased the overall value of the property. It was just incredible. But the rental income it's generating, oh my gosh, it's incredible. So they were able to rent this one in the northern suburbs for $550 per week. And like, this is probably different now, but anyway. The extra $28,000 per year in additional repayments, they're getting the rent money straight into that loan. So based on our calculations, this additional income will cut approximately 16 years off that new 30-year loan term, and the overall savings is over $560,000. Okay, I'm going to say this. The key to this working is the discipline, is making sure that money goes straight into that loan and not going, oh my God, let's go to Bali, you know. So that's the key, but it does work. Okay, my second family, Central Gold Coast, also wanting to build a 2-bedroom granny flat. This family had also engaged a builder, so that when they came to me, they had a signed build contract. So I went ahead and I ordered 3 different as-if complete valuations from 3 separate lenders. So again, we have a panel of 40 lenders and we match the lender up with your situation that's going to give you the best outcome. Okay, so in this situation, the valuation range came back 1.4 to 1.6. So there's a massive $200,000 difference between what the lenders saw as value. It's just astonishing. When this family came to me, they had an existing home loan of $600,000. We then refinanced it, taking it back to a 30-year loan term, and we added an additional loan split of $300,000 to finance the construction. So when this one was done, the overall value was incredible, but they were able to rent this granny flat for $600 per week. So that's an additional $31,000 going into that home loan, and it's cutting more than 16 years off that overall loan term, that new 30-year term, but giving them a savings of over $600,000. Well, it's just mind-boggling, honestly. And my family number 3, this one's a little bit out of the box, and this is for all my tradies in the room. This family only had space for really a small property, so they wanted a 1-bedroom granny flat. They were talking with a builder, but had not signed any contract yet. So this gentleman was a self-employed tradie, and he needed an alternate solution for verifying his income. So we were able to do an alt-doc application. Now, if you've never heard of that before, an alt-doc application allows clients to use alternative methods to verify your income. So in some cases, it's your activity statements or your normal bank statements, or it's accountant's letter, or there's lots of different ways. But in this case, we were able to use his 2 BAS there. And we needed to just figure out how we could, because he didn't have his signed build contract, how we could access the equity and sort of get an approximate idea. So we worked off the quote, and we went ahead and we ordered 3 different valuations from 3 different lenders and figured out he had enough usable equity to pull the cash out and use it as a cash out loan. And then he managed the build between him and the builder himself and was able to achieve that goal. When this gentleman came to me, he had an existing loan of $330,000. And when we refinanced it, we actually kept the 20-year loan term that was existing there. So we didn't take it back to the 30 years. And for everyone in the room, each sort of case is a little bit different, but with this gentleman, we decided the 20-year was going to work for his end goal. And now that the granny flat has been completed, it has massively increased the overall value of the property. But he was able to rent that granny flat for $450 a week. So that was giving him an additional $23,000 a year, and he's able to cut more than 9 years off the 20-year loan term and saving him just over $200,000. Now, in these examples, I probably could have run this, but I could have added any additional payments that the clients have put in themselves. This is just purely the rental income that you're looking at here, which is, really incredible. Now, I know some of you will be asking why we took the first 2 loan terms back to 30 years and we kept the third one at 20. And this decision's made on a case-by-case basis. So when we do all our calculations and we understand what your personal end goal is, we'll work out the structure and the strategy that works best for you. These case studies are an incredible sort of powerful reminder of why it's so important to consider more than one lender, because as you've seen with these valuations, the value can come back and vary as much as almost the cost of a granny flat. So it's just incredible. A granny flat can be an enormous game changer for you financially. It not only makes multi-generational living accessible to everyone, and giving families that space and that flexibility and the possibility, but it also provides an incredible financial benefit, a reliable side income, increases the overall value of your property, and the best thing is it's all in your backyard. Like, it's incredible. Let me just have a look here. So thank you so much for your time tonight, and I hope I made the finance simple and understandable, and I'm happy to answer any questions at the end. But I think that's a really good example of how powerful a granny flat can be for you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.